it's a staple.
Well,
Sometimes.
Sembu, I thought you were struggling with the cost of living crisis.
Okay, listen.
We got a fraud here.
Listen.
You mentioned about teaching your kids, this kind of. No, well, we're laughing already.
Hey, it's pen, man. It's pen. Yo, you know what's gonna happen, man. Someone's pants gonna get taken down.
Yeah, Josh speaks from experience.
Whoa. I have never been to pen. I've never done crimes. What are we saying though? Should we start?
Okay.
Wait,
Yes.
one second.
I'm just gonna get comfortable.
Oddcast.
Bam!
Oddcast.
Welcome to Oddcast. That's the new thing. It's just like imagine.
What are you saying? Should I intro this one? You know, the last one still.
That was a great intro. You want to edit it?
Oh yeah, keep that.
Oh shit, we're recording.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this camera on me? Damn. That's crazy. Right, anyway. Welcome to Oddcast, guys. And we're back.
We back.
We're back. We're back, bitches.
We back. I'll be back in the same gums.
Don't ask how many drinks we're on.
back.
Intro.
We back.
It's not that many.
Yeah,
to
not
be
that
honest.
many. It's quite
Nah,
embarrassing.
we're not heavy sipping.
We're quite
today.
sober.
We're not heavy sipping. We only got 3 bottles today.
Yeah, true. Only 3.
Only 3
One for each.
bottles.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Don't get
fine.
interested.
So,
Yeah. See, now this episode, this is gonna be like more of like we're trying to spread awareness now. Like this is a bit serious now. We can't joke about this
Yeah.
because this is something that affects us as in young people,
And as a society.
and as a society. as a whole.
Society.
We are going to talk about the cost of living crisis.
I saw that. I was bracing myself for that one, so I knew.
You're actually a
cost of fucking living.
Crisis.
You're actually a big time pussy for that. like,
Yeah.
yo, it's just, it's
like,
you
this
know,
shit is real.
Yes.
like,
it's
people
helping
are
the point, you know?
Very
It's
real.
helping the
people
point.
are down bad out here, and it's actually a mad thing.
Yeah.
like-
So I think before we start to delve into the cost of living crisis, so I think it's important that we need to understand what's caused it to begin with. So I guess if I can I'll give a quick summary. I'm no economist here, but I guess the main brunt is.
you do seem to come with facts though. Given your
I have the laptop as well if you want to
He's got a laptop, but
Google
yeah.
anything.
So that's amazing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but basically,
no, this guy got
it's-
facts because my man got very much so recognized on question time. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you very much. Yes,
Yeah, we'll pull out the thing later. But
Oh yes, yeah, that can be
he's,
another topic kind of thing.
Yeah, but he got facts, and the people agree with him.
Yeah, but basically, the main reason is that inflation is probably as bad as it's ever been in the last 40 years. Inflation is not anything new, but it's essentially the economist definition, the go-to definition is where too much
Get
money is where. Actually, Sembu, do you want to explain inflation then?
I mean, it's when over time the price of a set item continues to go up. So let's say, for instance, like the inflation on like fuel prices. Let's say that has soared an astronomical amount since. I'd even say since like 2020, even up until now, it's actually gone up quite a considerable amount, isn't it?
Yeah. So essentially, what causes that price increase that Sembu just explained is basically where too much money is chasing too few goods. So demand is outpacing supply, and it was exacerbated particularly after COVID, when during COVID demand was literally flat, and then when COVID ended and businesses were coming back, leisure, hospitality, they were all starting to come back. Demand, as in people like you and I, started demanding things straight away back to normal levels.
Yeah.
But obviously supply can't just switch on just like that in the same way. So supply is struggling to keep up. And as a result of that, you've got this kind of sharper divide where there's so much demand banks are having to raise interest rates in order to quell the demand, because when interest rates are raised, it increases the cost, increases borrowing costs, which kind of makes it harder to buy things and buy houses. So that's kind of a typical way that banks will use, is a typical practice they'll use to reduce demand. So that's basically where we are now.
And,
Yeah,
and,
what I'm
to,
seeing-
and to even add on to that
But
as
what-
well,
what
it's
were you
like
gonna- yeah.
even the increase in inflation on energy prices and gas prices and
everything.
stuff like that. It's affecting every single household in a very negative way, and it's like people are struggling out here to scrape together the funds to even have simple heating and electric in their house, and it's like
Yeah, what I'm reading
Oh, yes.
here is on the Financial Times. It's saying 40-year high of 10.1%.
40 year, yeah.
40 years, it's never been this high
Yeah.
by 10.1%.
It's gone down slightly since then, but yeah, it's still pretty high.
The
Still
BBC
pretty
is saying something slightly different, but then
Yeah.
again, BBC is always trying to
Yeah.
sugarcoat shit, so I don't believe them
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah. You should check the UK government for statistics, the index, which will have a more
Oh,
accurate
okay. Yeah.
figure.
because I feel like sometimes we should like iron out the fact before giving
Yeah,
off
so like
the,
inflation rate, and then I think the government website will pop up all
yeah.
inflation. And I think it should be about 8.8% since Jan 23. Actually,
yeah?
let me check.
Yes, Ray, coming with the proper numbers.
Yes, I did my research.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the Government National Statistics website, and it should be 8.8, I think. But
Yeah, 8.8. Yep,
yeah,
you're
sounds about
bang on.
right. But,
That's for CPI.
yeah, Consumer
Yeah.
Price Index.
Yeah, Consumer Price Index. Yeah, that's high though. Fuck.
Pretty high. So what that
The
means is
graph
that
looks fucked.
purchasing power is very, very squeezed. People can't really buy necessities, let alone, anything beyond that. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Yosh and Sembu?
I'm barely surviving.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. It's
How
not
would
easy.
you say that has affected your day-to-day life?
Well, for me, because I was in uni till last year, so this year's the first time I'm kind of out of uni.
Yeah.
I basically have to just live with my parents in it because
Right.
I
Yes.
can't afford to
So there's your
live
tip,
by
guys.
myself.
If you're struggling, just
Yeah.
live in with your parents for the next 30
'cause right
years.
now there's unless you
Yeah.
got a mad job right now
Yeah.
and you're earning, I'd say you'd probably have to be earning around 40 to 50k properly to live by yourself.
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
in
yeah.
London as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
London.
Let's be like specific
London.
to where
Yeah.
we're at right now,
In London.
because in London, every single price is a sheg. It's not no joke. You can't go out these days without spending about £50 minimum, and that's just on a regular.
It's a
degular
1 mil,
mo-
1, 2.
a 1-2 mil, and maybe a couple.
Travel.
The
Yeah.
travel costs. I'll get into this later, but TFL can, you can do the honors for this one. Yeah, TFL demons.
Demons.
Yeah. Evil
That's what they're
TFL
doing. They're laughing
overlords.
at us.
Yeah, exactly. When that chargeback, because they don't charge you on a day, when it comes out the next day and then they double charge you, they're laughing.
Yeah.
They're laughing in your face.
Exactly.
Precisely. Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's like that is another factor as well, because travel costs nowadays, and it's like I work in central London as well, so it's like that's expensive for me on a month-to-month basis. Like, I'll say like a good quarter of my paycheck goes to travel alone,
Right.
and it's like that. That's a big thing as well, and also coupled with that fact, I didn't have the struggle of let's say for instance, like you had to go uni, and so it's like you have to go you had to go uni.
But during uni, it was alright because obviously government is
The
giving
loan gives
maintenance
you
loan
a
and
float,
stuff,
yeah.
so you didn't even realize that inflation was happening because I'm getting free money.
Yeah, pretty much.
As soon as I came out, I was like, fuck, I
But
can't live by myself.
But at the same
Like-
time as well, it's like that in itself is a little bit of a burden too, because you know that you have those things that
Got to pay
are
back
gonna have
and-
to get paid, get paid back. And
Fine, I'll change my identity.
Literally.
I'll move to Pakistan.
Move to Pakistan, claim bankruptcy.
Listen, that's true and all, but receiving the British government, they'll find you. They'll find you.
true.
And
No, they
they'll
can't
get,
find shit right now.
They'll get your
that's
money.
true.
They'll get their money. They will make sure that they're chopping and that you have only got cornflakes and corned beef at your house. Like
That's rough.
Corn
Tin
beef.
style. So we've heard what Yosh does to tackle this cost of living crisis. How he lived with his parents. Sembu, do you have any tips that you're kind of taking on board now as a result of rising costs?
See, this is the thing. When it comes to, and I feel like young people can very much relate to this. It's like when it comes to this cost of living stuff, not a lot. It's kind of like now where we're starting to be a bit more tuned on in terms of like, you know, we need to make sure that we're doing practices to conserve our money more so than like have that shit just like leave our pockets like they're on strike, like these mandem, like these NHS and like these TFL mandem.
NHS
like,
don't be striking so much. But
they don't be striking for
TFL
much, but
especially.
But
TFL
NHS striked for the first time in history.
Yeah, it's
The
crazy.
TFL
If
like,
the
but
NHS
like,
strike, that's crazy.
That's how you know things are.
That's how you know it's like
that's-
we're down bad.
Yeah.
We're down bad. But still, it's like you have to sometimes you have to make sacrifices. You kind of need to not live that one high life that you used to live in terms of like, you know, buying luxuries, and you have to make sure that you have to have like costs and things in account as well. Because although I live with my parents as well, I have to contribute. So it's like that would have had to increase during this time as well, because I know how much my mom has to pay for bills. So it's like, and I know that I'm making money too, so I need to make sure that I'm contributing a good amount as well. So it's like, you know, stuff can stay afloat as well. And a lot of the times now, I feel like because people are knowing of the fact that we can't solely live off of one income, it's like that is becoming the norm now, that people are having to have 2 jobs, 3 jobs to actually live decently, if you know what I mean. And I feel like it's like from that point on, then it's like, you know, we're heading into a slippery slope, because now it's like we have to overwork ourselves just to get the bare minimum, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Earlier,
but,
sorry.
But Ray, what's your take on this stuff?
I'll answer that in a second, but I just want to ask, you mentioned sacrifices you've made. Could you give an example of sacrifices you made to quell the cost of living?
Simple things like even like simple things like, you know, eating out.
Yeah.
Like I remember last year where I was like religiously like going out all the time, every single week, and eating out. It's like I don't do that as much right now, because it's like I'm actually starting to see like it's not a nice feeling when it's like you're on your last before you get paid, and you have to make that stretch because you've had to make certain cutbacks just to make sure that your bills are paid due to disinflation, or maybe because you started to see it from before. Maybe you had to, you know, start borrowing money, and then as a result, then you have to pay that back, and then that increases your monthly outgoings, let's say, and it just makes things a tad bit harder, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess what were you going to ask me about things I do to?
Or how would you say you've coped through this time of increasing costs of living, let's say?
So it's kind of similar in the sense that you really have to kind of rethink your costs, your outgoings, and to see what's kind of necessary and what's not. And so I work in finance as well, so I've kind of applied stuff I do at work to my life. So like you kind of have to reduce your fixed costs and kind of get control of your variable costs. So you really have to evaluate which fixed costs are really necessary. Like, do you need your Netflix and your Primes and stuff like that? So I've kind of like
find an illegal site.
Yeah, exactly. like I've cancelled Prime.
I know a good one, by the way.
Exactly.
Always with the illegal things.
Yeah, exactly. And
if Japan's willing to provide it for free, then I'll take that one.
Yeah, exactly.
True. I mean,
Horror watch, go check Horror Watch.
Yeah. And
we could get arrested,
Can you get arrested for that shit? I don't know.
Yes.
Let's not cross into any illegal territory. So.
Exactly. I mean,
but
let's not have the police pull up to the studio.
to the studio. Yeah. Imagine the police refer it as the studio. Police, we're at the studio. We've arrested 3 criminals on board because of what have we done
For
actually.
tax
They were
evasion.
They were
Not paying the
watching
taxes.
films on a free site.
Yeah. And
They didn't pay for it.
That's why we've come all this way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Simple.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
nicked. And,
Also, your neighbour who's dealing coke, he's fine.
he's fine. He's fine because he deals coke for us too. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all
Yeah.
good.
We sold that
Yeah.
to the Europeans.
Oh no. Yeah.
Easton.
But yeah, like I was saying, I think also like it's good to budget as well. So I've got like a general budget / forecast, which just has an outline of mainly my fixed costs, and then
Oh, I've started to do that too.
yeah, because fixed costs are easier to kind of note down and say which ones are going to be leaving your account, and then for variable costs you could just leave a spare amount as a general amount, and then you can compare it to your actuals when you do end up paying, and just to see your kind of get familiar with your spending habits, and just being as frugal as you can, and just seeing do I really need this delivery and stuff like that.
Simple stuff like that. It's like kind of taking the steps
Yeah.
back. So it's like, do you need to order Uber Eats or delivery?
Yeah.
Why not learn to cook?
Yeah, and
cook at home,
it also helps to
buy
as well.
groceries, and
Yeah,
even take liberty of like loyalty cards and stuff like that, and make the most out of this thing. Be creative in it, because my mom always taught me you can make something out of nothing. Like I remember when we were kids, and it's like she's a single parent, so it's like, and she used to work 2 jobs as well. So this is why it's like it kind of resonates with me, because it's like growing up wasn't easy. So seeing her having to manage 2 children up to a certain point before my sister moved out and before I got employment after 16 or whatever. It's like, seeing how she used to make up meals for us and have to go to work, have to come back home, even at some points do night shifts and long days, all of that. It's like it's tough. You see it and you can see it wearing on the person. And it's like people are really out here doing the most for their children, and also on top of that, it's like they're actually putting their life on the line, overworking yourself, and it's like you can create health problems from that stuff. There, it's a really tough nut to crack, because it's like, although you might want to do less hours, but you need to think about your priorities out here as well. And it's like, even with that as well, it's like sometimes with people from other races, they're not very financially literate, dare I say. So it's like a lot of them, when you find it, it's like they're coming into this country and then they're trying to make their bands, but then they end up borrowing money and getting into debt, and a lot of the times they have to pay that debt back, and that's leaving them, and that's leaving them skint to the teeth by the end of the month, but they still got their kids to feed. So that the kids are going to get fed on some rice and some mackerel, and that is going to be slapping for the next 5 years.
5 years.
It's a tough life, but you're going to need to make sure that you make ends meet somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that definitely kind of captures the struggle pretty well. You know, of what people are going through, and it's important that we don't people shouldn't demonize people for struggling, and especially with what this government says. And I guess it also helps as well.
I've watched a video where it's like even young people like us having to resort to going to food banks to get food and stuff like that, and it's like, having 20p to your name or something like that, and it's like, people might look and start creasing, but it's like, this life is hard, and it gets like that sometimes when it's like you are on your last, but then you have to make it work somehow. Sometimes you have to tell your friends you can't go out, because it's better if you stay at home, cook a meal and just save that money. Be constructive in other areas. Even if you are going out, and sometimes it don't have to be a going out thing to get food. Go to the crib, cook up something.
Link up someone's yard.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of just improvise, innit? That's what I'm saying. Is that people need to start getting a bit creative now with their motives. Not every day, but cop a bottle of Hennessy and go to a club. You can't it can't always be like that. You know, sometimes you might have to grab a young Captain Cook from Lidl, or like, you know, them shots there. You know about them one there.
Yeah.
And then you have to, and then just go to
Captain Morgan,
go
there's
to
Captain Cook.
Captain Cook,
go to the and then go to the crib. Maybe grab a microphone.
It's like Singsbury's.
And just
Singsbury's. You know.
You saw that one there as well.
Yeah, of
That's a
course.
Sainsbury's, you know.
Yeah, it looked like the real thing as well. I was
It
like,
did.
oh,
It had the
They-
they
the same writing, the
It
font,
was
copied
everything.
the fuck out of
Yeah.
that.
To be fair, there's another one in Bangladesh as well where it's there's a Tesco where it's like
Tesco.
another.
I like
Just
that.
one
it has
more-
it has a nice
But
thing.
it's the same brand,
like
the
that.
same like font as well. But I guess another way to help manage costs as well is I think it also helps if you have if you can have 2 cards, so you have like one debit card to manage your day to day,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
one
yeah,
to
yeah.
hold your total funds,
Yeah,
and then just
yeah.
give yourself a weekly top up. So I
Yeah.
find that helps control my spending because if
Definitely.
I use my card that has everything in there, there's kind of nothing stopping me from just like
Just tap it.
tapping and then
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of running out some money
I
for the
got 2
month.
cards
Come
as
out,
well, but
dripped out.
sometimes I make that mistake. I don't transfer a nut, and then you know when it's like a big sum's coming out of the other cards, so
Yeah.
you have to use the primary card.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
And that's when
And
you
all-
ask me for 30 quid every.
Can you ask me as well? Wait,
I really
what?
asked me
You
as
know them
well.
one
Yeah,
there?
he asked
You
me
know
for 30
sometimes-
quid like 3 times.
Thirty. You know,
It's always 30 as well.
Hey, 30, hey,
It's 5.
30,
That's
the
funny.
35.
30, isn't it?
That's a 3-5.
Oh, don't
I'm
get twisted.
joking, I'm joking.
Don't get twisted. I ain't never bought up with any of you guys' money.
Nah.
Nah, fam.
joking.
Yeah, of course,
Food,
of course,
fam.
yeah.
Hey, but
Food
I just say-
food or Oyster card money. Can't lie.
mad evidence about
Yeah.
like cost of living being peak right now. Freddo's.
Oh, Fred.
Guess how much? Guess how much? Wait, let me
I'm
actually
scared.
find out before I say the wrong
75
number.
Good to know.
Bro, I know they're crazy amounts. So bear in mind, when you first had a Freddo, how much was it?
15p.
15p. That's the.
15.
Yeah.
It was cheaper than that before as well.
I don't know.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
10p as well, or
Yeah.
5p sometimes.
5p. It was
5p.
like one of the original prices.
I think
Right
it was
now,
5p at one point.
let's see.
5p, then it went to 10. Don't mind if I do. You know, saving on the cost, innit? You know, sharing is caring.
Okay. Oh, that was an
But
accident.
why though? Like,
65p.
I was close.
65 fucking p right now. And
That's inflation for you.
yeah, that's crazy. So that's in about 10 years, it's moved from
Yeah.
15 to 65.
Yeah.
Mad.
That is mad. That's like. That's
So
like
you know,
more than
get
100%
It's a
increase.
tiny ass chocolate bar that looks like a frog.
Yeah. That's extortionate. And it also reminds me how, like, even like chicken and chips has gone up by crazy.
Chicken
amounts.
and chips gone up
Like,
mad.
you know, when we went to Morley's, like, I got a chicken burger and chips meal and 4 wings, and it cost me 7 quid. And I was like, back in the day, it would have. Exactly.
That is insane.
I did
fam.
hail like a
Bro,
like a
7
terrifying
quid.
thing. I know. That would usually cost me like £4 back in
No,
the day.
350.
Yeah, that's
350.
For the wings as well.
Yeah.
burger, wings and chips.
I've been
And then
watching,
for
I've been
wings for
watching
3.
Chicken Connoisseur videos.
Yeah, that
about
would-
5-7 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, that would be
I
roughly
remember
about
he went
5,
to one
6
place.
pounds.
Yeah, I thought 5 cents, but I don't know
Got,
about
you
four.
got strip burger, 3 wings and chips for
I say-
£2.
Oh, that's strip burger. I meant the
Oh
proper
yeah,
burger.
the
Oh,
proper
proper one.
proper,
Okay,
proper
three-
burger, £5.
350. No, 350. It would have been 350 back in the day. Back in the day, you probably would have got.
You
Oh,
went
back in the
Donald's,
day.
innit?
Yeah.
You went Donald's.
No, back in the day, meal, yeah, 350. That's true.
Yeah.
But I meant with the wings as well. But yeah.
Wings and burger and chips and drink.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. That was always about £5. Max.
Yeah, £5 max. Yeah.
Max.
With wings. Or...
With wings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With wings.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Yeah,
man.
otherwise. bruh.
It's a par these days.
Yeah,
It's
used to get
actually
you
a par.
could get 6 wings and chips for like
Mm.
150, fam.
You know what? I can even have. I even have one as well. The price of Air Force Ones, white ones.
I swear, has that gone up as well now?
Really?
they're £100 now.
What the?
Really?
Yeah,
I remember
I
they used to be
rem-
like 60 quid. Or
I
50.
remember they used to be £67.
I
Yeah.
bet you're still buying them though.
About
Sembu.
5 years. Yeah, of course.
Oh, you gotta
It's
keep
a-
the
it's a-
white ones white.
It's a staple.
Well,
Sometimes.
Simba, I thought you were struggling with the cost of living crisis.
But hey, listen.
We've got a fraud here.
Listen.
Fucking
There's
fraud.
struggle.
There's we heard your whole
There's a
sob
struggle.
story
No,
like
but
5
there's a
minutes
struggle.
ago.
But the drip
We heard the
must
sob
still
story.
drip.
No, we're not
The
having
drip-
that. We're holding you to account.
But, okay, fair enough. I've still got
Explain yourself.
I've still got my old pairs. Maybe I might not come a pair this year.
Yeah, clean your old ones.
I
man.
haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't copped no kicks since probably last year, May.
Oh damn, that's a long time for you.
Yeah,
That's long.
yeah. I ain't caught no kicks since then.
Meanwhile, we got friends that we know who were literally yesterday playing football in their Yeezys. You know who you are. Fucking dickhead.
We name it and shame
Play
it.
football in the Yeezy, then change them into the Versace's.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's mental.
that's a mad thing. But yeah, literally, price of everything is going up.
Yeah.
And
So has that taken its toll on your shoe collection?
I mean,
Have you had to sell anything on Depop, for instance?
not this year. Not in the past 2 years. No, like since our last episode, last, it's gonna like I haven't sold anything since them times.
Sure.
But to be fair, it's like it kind of makes you think though, because I'll be very real. Like at the beginning of this year, I did have a mishap. I'm not gonna get too completely into it, but then it gave me a really good think about where my money's going and like the decisions that I'm actually making, because I am one of those people where it's like I spend quite a lot of money. I'm a very like I've been working in central London for years, so it's like I'm very used to high prices, and I'm also used to just like, you know, living life on the good side when you have the time to spend the time. But sometimes
the time.
have the time to spend the time, and when you have the cash to spend the cash, sometimes that cash kind of leaves you as quick as it comes to you. So it's like you need to kind of find a way to kind of curb that in a bit. I'm still working on it, but then it's one of those things where it's like when it happens, it happens. But as far as it goes, it's like a lot of times people have to kind of make cutbacks that do affect their life when it comes to this cost of living, because it's like with lockdown, people were even though people may have had the funds, but one thing that was stopping them from seeing people was the fact that you can go outside because there was a virus out there. But then now it's kind of like flipped it on its head. You can go out now, but because of the cost of living, it's because things are costing you money. So it's like it's better that you do stay at home now, and it's going to create a new sense of isolation in certain people, especially people who may have underlying mental health
More
conditions.
disparity between jobs, like
Especially,
more people who earn more will be able to still be able to go
this
out.
is the thing. It's just like, you know, there's that cost. So it's like when people really factor in, it's like you might have a job here and you might be working, but then it's like, are you taking into consideration that person has to travel to work as well, and actually have to spend money to get to work as well? Like, although a certain person might have a certain pay bracket or a certain pay package or whatever, and they might their take-home amount every month might be of a certain amount, they might not be able to live on that. Like, it's very technical speaking. So then that's when it's like those cutbacks need to get made, and it's like it's better that we're aware of it at our young age, so then when it comes to the future and we have kids and stuff like that, we can teach them this, because it's like this isn't a joke out here. Like, we have to actually very much consider our future every single step of the way, especially when we get into these positions that it's like, you know, you start getting paid salary, and it's like you know that you're on your way up to get some good change soon, but you need to learn how to manage the small change that you got now before you actually make the big P's, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You mentioned about teaching your kids, you know, this kind of. Well, I don't know why we're laughing already. No, I was just going to ask, what kind of life lessons in this area would you kind of impart on them? What's the number one rule you'd tell them about financial literacy?
Financial literacy on 100, because they need to learn about things like, you know, taking out loans, taking out credit cards and stuff like that, overdraft, knowing how to handle their finances, know that before they opt into going into these decisions, what they're getting themselves into, especially if you, like, let's say if you don't pay these people, and what it's going to head into you is going to ruin your credit score, stuff like that. You also, like, just budgeting and costing in general, like not living above your means, like making sure that you know that it's like once you get paid a certain amount every month, that has to last you till your next pay. And then you also need to consider like saving it, what's it called, ISAs and stuff like that, investing like further things along the line and stuff like that, being like, you know, fraud and stuff like that. You need to make sure that they're not going to be a victim to certain things like that as well. And also on top of that, being a victim to fraud, they don't want to be a victim of a person who wants to become a fraudster as well. Like, and also getting money the right way, because although this is like a whole umbrella, but it's like, see if this from a young person's perspective, they might see their parents struggling to get money. They might not live in a great area. They're around people who are getting money the wrong way, and then they start getting themselves into trouble to try and get the money. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's heading into
finding
like
other ways.
It's heading into like another realm of like things that we need to start questioning with young people as well. Because a lot of the times when you think about people who are going into like gang life and stuff like this, that they're going into it to either cause trouble or to make money. And if you're making money through shotting, doing what's it called, getting drugs and selling drugs or whatever, or doing fraud or whatever, it's like, yeah, you might be good for now, but then when you get caught, you're on your own.
Yeah,
all them man that were there with you at the time you were doing all of that bullshit, they're not gonna be with you if you're in pen.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff like that, because there's not
You
a
gotta
lot
protect
of
your
people,
booty.
like
Yeah, that's true.
why for the protect man beauty?
Hey, it's pen, man. It's pen. Yo, you know what's gonna happen, man. Someone's pants gonna get taken down.
Yeah. Josh speaks from experience.
Whoa. I have never been to pen.
Yeah,
I've never done crimes.
Yeah, he did it by choice. I'm joking. But there's nothing wrong with that. But no. But I think you've raised good points. But what would you say to people? They might counter argue on these people doing, engaging in making money through illegal means. Is what if they say back to you that the legal ways kind of, they're still not making enough. You know, governments aren't really raising wages enough to match inflation.
But at the same time,
how can they live on that?
It's like, how do you live on that? But then it's like, what kind of life are you living if you have to resort to these means to?
So I guess it's like it's an exchange.
It is always a never-ending question, because the thing is, people are still gonna do what they want to do, but at the same time, it's like, at what cost? Because like, see, the topic.
So are you saying it's like a lesser of the two evils, or
just want to clarify? So it's like, the topic of the day is the cost of living, right? Which is causing a negative effect on the people, but not a lot of people are considering the cost of how they're living their life to get this money, are they?
Yeah, but I don't think that was the argument that he was saying.
But I agree with that.
I get that.
Okay,
that's like evaluating yourself.
Yeah. I think that kind of gets to a very deeper level, but I kind of meant on a practical means, basis of
like, say if a shotter came to you and he was like, I make 20 G's more than you shotting. Why are you working so hard? Fuck's sake. Why are you working so hard? Like out here doing legal work. Like when you could be making 20 G's more.
And it covers all your bills as well.
Yeah. Like you can clean it. You know how to clean it.
But the reason being is because I'm not gonna have that ever-ending thought in my head that there's gonna be consequences to this.
Right, the paranoia, that creeping paranoia.
Because there is consequences to doing illegal activities, but however, the only consequence to doing legal work is that if you overdo it, then you are overworking yourself, really. However, it's like you're doing it legally, and then there's nothing that's going to bite you back in the arse unless you try and do something dumb.
So are you coming from a self-preservation argument, as in, like you said, the consequences are going to bite you back, or is there a kind of moral argument, as in it's not morally kind of appropriate?
I feel like it can go both ways, to be fair.
Okay. Well.
But yeah, I feel
but even on moral grounds, it depends on what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like say in this country, you know, weed is illegal, but in other countries it's completely legal. So like morally, you probably wouldn't get, if you're only dealing with that, you probably wouldn't feel any way about that.
But that's the thing. They're not just dealing with that. If they are,
But there is people who just deal with that. There is like UK is the biggest exporter of weed in Europe.
Oh wow! That's crazy.
It's a fact. which is why that's the only thing that hasn't been affected by inflation. You know, in Canada and America,
honest, I'm not gonna lie,
it goes up.
Yeah,
The price of it goes up, but here it does not change.
Really amazing.
Ever.
Well, there you
It's
go.
never
Price
changed.
cap.
A UK 35 is still £30.
Yeah, it's still the same
Still
thing.
£30 unless you're getting the import thing. But then
So you
even
could
the
say in
but I'm not gonna
their
even,
instance,
even
they're
they
getting the-
they used to bump the import thing before, but now it's like you see them at lower prices because you just need to get.
They don't even need to import it anymore, though.
No, because more time is here.
They just
already.
grow
It's
it.
just here.
Yeah.
You just got the.
Find out how the fuck they
got
made
the-
it and then they make it
They
themselves.
got the overseas seeds and then they seed
Yeah.
that shit over.
Grow
then
it
they
here,
grow
yeah.
that shit
In a
here.
summer house or something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you know them. The shame.
Yeah, fucking do Shane.
Solly and fucking do Shane.
I want do Shane. I want my missus back. So.
No, but I think this whole cost of living thing can definitely push people to look at those kind of options more, like to earn money in less moral ways.
Do you think that there's anything else that we need to highlight on this particular topic?
TFL just raised their prices by 6%.
Barbara
Dickheads.
Bastards, did they actually?
Yeah,
They are.
it just happened like this
Just
5th
now.
of 5th
News
of March.
just didn't see. We're giving you live news.
5th of March, so a few days last week.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they say why?
Shall I leave this here so you can press
Yeah,
it?
well, yeah. Let's send me free. Have free reign. Did they say why?
Because of the
why?
strikes.
Because of the strike.
That's what they were aiming for. They want all those strikes. Why do you think they stopped?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? Because that just
Yeah.
consumers suffer, you know.
Yeah, consumers suffer. More people get pushed out.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah, but I guess to summarise, what are your kind of ending thoughts or any pieces of wisdom you'd like to impart on the audience?
Given that it's like this is something that is kind of out of our span of control, I think that it's just like as individuals we just need to take particular measures into making sure that it's like, you know, we are not I think maybe I think to settle this, I think the main thing is that we as a people, we just need to learn to live within our means, because I feel like that's one thing that gets a bit misconstrued with younger people and with older people as well, who may not be that financially literate as well, because I feel like one thing that needs to get through to everybody is like, you know, financial literacy, that we need to actually be a bit more knowing of what's actually going on in the world that's going to actually affect us properly, because a lot of times we might brush this over to the side because it may not actually affect us right now, but when we do get into a situation when it does, we don't know what to do, so we need to kind of be a step ahead a little bit to kind of know where it's just like, okay, maybe in the future or when I get into a better situation, maybe it should be a good plan that I have 6 months back up in the savings.
No, that's true.
So then it's like, in case I'm out of a job, for instance, that might mess up my situation, I'm not completely down bad, if you know what I mean. Like, so maybe taking those type of steps before to maybe prevent as opposed to fix, or leave the UK.
Just get the hell out of here.
But it's not just the UK.
It isn't just the UK,
that's
but I feel like
if you can afford to leave the
But,
UK.
but,
Yeah,
but
if
to
you
be
can
honest,
afford
I
it.
feel like
To be fair, you
right now
probably
it's like
can't
the cost
afford-
of living in
Unless
the
you're an
UK
immigrant.
is just. But I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the cost of living in the UK is mentioned a lot more, and they don't put in on other countries' input to maybe even help
You know
us
what
a
it
little
is?
bit.
It's because
way
we're
would you-
very import based.
Yeah.
So whenever something outside happens, we get fucked.
Yeah, it's like
And that's what's been happening
lack
with
of
the
salad
energy
in the,
and yeah,
and lack of veg in the supermarket. It's true.
yeah, even veg, yeah.
Spain had a bad season, and
Yeah.
no tomatoes, and also there's another thing we haven't mentioned. This is well, I think people, especially on low incomes, should make use of, you know, government support and grants that are out there. I know there's the energy price cap guarantee, that's automatic, but I think there are other schemes that you can apply for if you're on a lower income that you can get extra funding a week kind of thing to add support. And I think just putting pressure on, our political
even like maybe
representatives to,
even
force them to add more support.
Even maybe like banks and stuff like that, maybe even for a short period of time, maybe freezing interest on certain like mortgages and loans and stuff like that people have to pay
they
out
changed it
to
recently as well.
to try and like make people have a bit more of a peace of mind as well, and especially for like young people who have like student loans to pay back as well. Don't make it such a like prominent thing that it's like, okay, this is a thing that is like, listen, you've had your education, now run me my rascal like, no, run me my money. That no, like let's like give them a bit of breathing.
It's currently at 4%.
Like give interest is that's to help quell inflation.
That's mad.
But that you can take advantage of that
in savings. Yeah.
So there's a
does
silver
that
lining.
really?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But it's something. It doesn't.
What?
Yeah,
saying that, not a lot of people know that about how to make your situation better through that, in terms of like taking advantage of like, okay, this is happening now, maybe I might have to chuck my savings in like a young ISA or something like that.
No, I'd be even more specific, and because it's a high rate that is going to change, you should if you can invest, if you have savings, like put it into a fixed rate bond which has a fixed rate, because bonds tend to have high
bonds,
especially nationwide, you have 4% interest rate. So say for instance you had like 25k, this is a big example, but 25k, and it was a rate at 4% for a year. That's just $1,000 you've just made there. Just for storing your money, for instance. So definitely look at savings rates, and if you can lock your money away for longer, the higher rates you'll yield. So that's definitely another.
And I would say to second that as well. Like now with this increased cost of living, you gotta always look for that second hustle. Looks for that other way.
I feel like sometimes it's like
make your money grow.
Very, very much so needed. Like, man,
you should have.
I need to look into
now.
That.
You should have like your spending money, which is getting you through, your daily life. You've got your savings, and then you got your investments. Savings and investments. You got to work them together. Like, think about savings are more for one particular thing. Investments, things that it's money that
help grow,
you can risk, but you want it to grow, to eventually go into the savings.
I think that.
Do you guys have any examples of saving investments you guys have all?
I would say crypto, of course. Crypto is always good, obviously. It's looking to get legalized.
For that.
Legalized soon. Yeah, we'll get some. We might get a special guest for that.
Exactly, we've got just the guy.
I would say
I don't have examples of that.
Forex trading, even just like what I do is I buy equipment, which I know I can, use for business. That's kind of an investment. Obviously, it doesn't grow itself. I have to use it.
There's good assets there,
But assets,
No, I second that.
Well, side hustle wise is something I need to look into anyway. But hey, I mean,
but we'll get into that in another episode.
Like and subscribe, innit?
Yeah.
That was the most abrupt ending as well. Like, like and subscribe.
Just because cost of living is going up. Like, if we get a subscriber packet, then that's
sponsor. Say the sponsor.
That's £1 per subscriber. So that means there that we're gonna get the money up. Know what I mean? Press the button.
I'm terribly sorry. Sembu's in waffling mode, so it might not all make sense. But thank you again, guys, for tuning in.
I was being real. I was actually.
Yeah, sure.
I was
Thanks again, guys.
Great
to. I think you know what this means.
Man,
it means it's a wrap.
Well.
Yeah, see, it's basically a wrap, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
We'll see you next time.
That one isn't one either.